Hi Scorpio, it's Jenny here, ready with your January Tarot horoscope for the brand new year. So we're just going to be pulling a single card as usual from my Salvador Dali Tarot deck and seeing what comes up. So the first 2/3 of January is Capricorn season, and then towards the end we're going to be rolling over into Aquarius. So a bit of a shift there. Let's see what we got here. Got a card for you. Okay, Scorpio, we have 4 of coins reversed. This is the way it looks like the right way up. So we have this man, and he looks like he's painting a picture, and there's a nude woman here behind him. Down below, we've got these kind of pears or fruit, and above we have this portrait and these branches coming out. And then down below we have like a kind of bit of a sketchily drawn kind of figure, kind of tin soldier-esque. And it came out like this, okay? So let us see what the 8 of coins has for us here. Okay, 8 of coins, mastery. It is a paradox that you have to rise above yourself to find yourself. This is represented by the great variety of figures on the card, as well as the fruit and the tree at the bottom, and by the ancestral portrait above. In a certain sense, this card, which is full of frames, is all about going out of the ordinary and breaking free. The small hiker at the bottom left hints at something extraordinary that lies beyond the current framework. Your contribution to a great task is called for now. Review your personal responsibilities and necessities. Your current questions will help you to find your calling and to create a framework in which you will get the best results with the means you presently have at your disposal. Do not wear yourself out with tasks set by others. Find the purpose that only you can fulfill. Like every human being, you too possess special talents that will make your own life happy and the world more humane and a better place to live. There are typical talents and tasks that await you, and you only. If you focus on them, you will be able to banish all gurus and masters, for it is you who will gain mastery of your life. Create many results that are uniquely yours with your signature and style, and through which you can express yourself. In this manner, you will create a sort of healthy luxury, an abundance of well-being, accomplished ideas, and fulfilled desires. Practical advice. Reflect on your experiences. The clearer your assets and handicaps become, the easier it will be for you to discover your true purpose in life. Focusing on this will prove to be the basis and the secret of your mastery. Okay, so mastery as a concept in Capricorn season is actually really awesome. So Capricorn season is, of course, all about setting goals, working hard, and restricting yourself in order to kind of narrow in and hit mastery of a certain thing. Capricorn is not the jack of all trades. They work hard to the mountain of mastery. So if there's something in particular in your life right now that you are working towards to become a master, this is really saying, yes, do that. And when you have mastery, then you don't have to be listening to if you're the master of this particular thing, or the master of your life in this case, then other people who think differently, have other opinions. Okay, that's great for them, but they are not there to dictate you. As the master, you don't have a guru. You are the one. You get to look into your own wisdom and your experience for guidance. Doesn't mean you're infallible, of course, but you get to now rely on your experiences and mastery and trust the way that you may have looked to other masters before. You are now the master in that kind of cycle of generation of the young growing up to be the old, the student growing up to the master. That's that kind of transition that you're in. And Capricorn is all about mastery and leadership, which then once you reach the top, you get to turn back and reach and help others up with you and gain gurus and be a leader with what it is that you have mastery of. So, and that's going to look different for each of us, each of you. The coin that the card you have is 8 of coins, and coins are earth energy, same as Capricorn, and very much about, so the things that we have, the tangible things, as well as our goals and our skill sets and talents. So as well as, there's our talents and our skills, but we need to also be aware of the things we're not good at. So being a master is just as much about knowing your limitations, knowing your blind spots, integrating your failures, and knowing what you are not the master of, knowing your realm, because it's focused and your scope may be deep, but knowing where somebody else is going to be a master. So that is a really key part, and that does require some self-confidence and bravery to acknowledge the things that you are not great at, to acknowledge where your limitations are. But that actually really helps you focus in on mastery, because if you're really great at everything, that is the jack of all trades, but master of none, where there's just so much that's available to you. You aren't, instead of having limitations that force you to stay on one path, you can kind of go every which way, which is awesome in certain categories. But finding your limitations is what helps narrow the path, so all of your energy can be directed in one place. And if you're afraid of our limitations, or we look at them as failures, or we look at them as signs that we're not good, or just like beat ourselves up over the things that we're not great at, what our handicaps are, we miss the lesson and the blessing that finding out what you're not great at gives you, which is to just, now you don't have to waste your time and energy on that. You can just keep forcing keep moving towards mastery of one particular thing and let somebody else be the master of that. So knowing what you're not great at is a really big gift, and that's the way a master can view it. So that's going to be part of reflecting on your experiences. And that's going to help discover that kind of purpose that you're gunning for here. So a couple months ago, we had Scorpio season. Y'all had a birthday. Was a really intense time, and so a lot of things may have come up, a lot of unconscious things, a lot of, whether in your community, your country, your collective, or you in your life personally, a lot of repressed gunk coming up. And some of you may have actually handled that better than a lot of other people. That's the Scorpio season. You've probably kind of done this a little bit more in your life, of going through that, digging into the deep and seeing what comes up. But in any case, whatever it was that came up for you, Sagittarius season came by and you had the chance to shine the light of truth on it, to say, what does this mean? What do I believe about all of this? How do I want to incorporate this into my vision? Things that I've found out I'm afraid of, do I want to now move away from those? Do I want to conquer those fears? Things I've learned I desire. Now, how do I manifest those desires, or which of those desires are actually not very healthy or fear-based? Those are the things we learned in Sagittarius time. And then Capricorn season was all about, now, what do I do? How do I set goals and give myself some limitations in order to achieve my vision, and in this case, achieve mastery? And that mastery is tied to purpose, and purpose was tied to desire, and desire is tied to fear. So all the way through, we've been learning, as we learn what our fears and our desires are, that gets to guide us towards our purpose. From the emotional side of, okay, what are we repulsed by our fears, and what do we long for in our desires from an emotional stage? And now we get to incorporate it. Now we get to take it out of just the emotions, and we tie that to skills. What are our skill sets? This is where we talk about mastering what you're not great at. When you can attach your desire and the emotional energy that desire and fear gives you, hold it to the vision that we learned in Sagittarius season, and then you wrap it up in your skills. That is the triple whammy of, now you can really be manifesting something that matters to you. Your emotional investment in it is what's going to keep you pushing and pushing when you're tired and when it just feels like a grind and you don't feel like you're getting anything from it. The emotional investment is what you remember. Why does this matter to me? What is my purpose? But what does it make me feel? How am I going to feel when I get it? If you aren't emotionally connected to your vision, it's not going to mean much to you, and you're probably not going to stick with it until mastery, because in the road to mastery has a lot of hard blocks, and a lot of self-doubt, and a lot of times of messing it up, and if you're not emotionally connected, you're going to disconnect. So this is an individual thing. This is the purpose that you have. It can be done obviously in community, but this isn't you saying, well, I'll do that vision because they're doing it, or seeing somebody that looks like, wow, they're really thriving and achieving mastery in their field. I'll go do that because it seems like they're having a great time, and they're having a great time because that's their purpose and their vision. What do you have? What do you want to do? And if there's other people that are saying, oh, I wouldn't do it that way, you're like, cool, because you're not me, and I'm going to do it this way because this is part of my emotional connection to my vision, tied to my talents and needs. So it's going to look really different than that. So this, when we're talking about, this card also talked a bit about frameworks. And so these frames, that limitations that could have been put on you by other people, expectations of what you should do, what we've always done, even people can sometimes see certain skills of you and say, oh, therefore you have to do this, even if that's not what you want to do and you're not emotionally connected to it, even if you have the skill set. You can have more skills than you necessarily have vision or purpose for, and you don't have to use them all. So there might be limitations that other people have told you what to do with your talents. You may have put limitations on you as well, of fear-based, oh, I can't accomplish that, or oh, well, I'll accomplish that when I'm in this safer zone, and some of those limitations might be really helpful. They provided a framework and a barrier, so you didn't just go every which way. So you get to decide what of those frameworks are supportive for you and are actually good kind of like scaffolding for which you can build your dreams, and which ones of them are boxes that are holding you in. And you get to break free of the ones that you don't want, that are holding you down, and then you get to build in and lean into the structures and the frameworks that are helpful for you and that are letting you achieve greater peaks. So that's your discernment, that's your question, and you get to be the master in this, and you don't have to listen to what other people tell you, at least if they're not people that hold your respect or your ideals, or that are masters in their own right, or masters in your field that you're trying to achieve. It doesn't mean, again, you have to do this all alone, but, you know, if you ask for someone's opinion, you can listen, but if they're just injecting it at you because that's what they want, you don't have to be swayed by that. That might just be another limitation and box somebody else is trying to put on you. So like I said, the first 2/3 of January is Capricorn season. So this is still going to be more like tangible, okay, like what are we working towards? Whether you found your vision and your goal, and hopefully like you tie into what you learned in Sagittarius season about what does all of this mean? What's my vision? Leaning into that emotional connection. And now it's just the hard work, the goal setting, the planning as well of where do we want to go, holding the vision, and then looking at the tangible reality of what are my skill sets? What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I want to work on? Build, build, build. Towards the end of the month, we hit Aquarius season. Aquarius is where we have the insight, the innovation, the big leap forward, and also this freedom from bondage are all themes from Aquarius. So this is where you finally, like, you know, if you've been working at the gym for several weeks and not noticing anything, this is when suddenly you're like, oh my God, I wasn't winded, or I upped my weight, or I noticed I lost weight, or I gained more definition, or I hit my weight goal. And like, that's when you're like, oh, it did matter. All of these days of getting up and going to the gym or working out at home, oh, I didn't seem to work it day for day, but this is when we notice it. Or yeah, like I started going to therapy after things that happened, and it just seemed like a waste of time. And then that session we had, like I made these connections and suddenly it all made sense. Like this is when it goes from boop, 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 to the top, or at least to a big jump that's really encouraging. So, or if it's a skill set, something you're developing, you suddenly get the knack, or you feel that you're at the next stage. So this first chunk of the month might feel very plodding. And so again, you hold on to the emotional connection to your vision to get through the slog. If you're here in the Northern Hemisphere with me as well, pretty deep in winter, so it's still dark. Technically the days are getting longer, but it's still feeling a bit of a slog. So it's fine to just kind of keep on hoping for spring. And then the end of the month, that freedom, suddenly those paradigms that people have forced you into, that breaks open, and you feel that freedom, and you just have that relief. And then you get a new injection of energy for the next climb and the next stage of improvement, where it's suddenly like your mastery might not be upon you, but it's still like now you can see how it could be possible. That doesn't mean you have to jump straight into the next goal. This is also a great time for celebration. One of the things that's important about goals and achieving something is to make sure that you celebrate along the way. That oftentimes we can think that we don't deserve rest, we don't deserve a party until we hit the end. And either that's too exhausting because then you don't have the energy to make it all the way because you're burnt out, or the end is actually a bit of an illusion and it's just the next stage to what you can do next, which means you never hit the end. So if you never celebrate along the way, you're still never going to get that big payout. So make sure that, the end of the month may feel a bit like, a bit of a celebration, a bit of a break free. This is really exciting. So own into that. Don't lose sight of you still have these goals that you want to achieve and get back at it, but give yourself a little bit of fun and some congratulations as you get there. So, yeah, I feel like that's all I've got on this one. Like, it's a very you oriented. It's what your tasks and your mastery and your skill sets are. So you can certainly be in collaboration with other people, but you're not in subservience to any of them on this regard. So, yeah, you don't need to exist in those frameworks if they're limiting for you. Yeah, that's it for you. Have a wonderful January. Best of luck, Scorpio. I'll see you next month.